And welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. Why the hat? This is being recorded on Christmas Eve 2025, and considering that this is the first week of December, December 6, 2013, we got two movies to look at today. No intro, not really eventful movies overall here. Kind of films that maybe we're hoping to go for Oscars, but obviously aren't. But we can get to these pretty quickly. So let's go ahead and start off with our first one that we have here, which is Out of the Furnace. And it follows the story of Russell Bays, played by Christian Bale, a Pennsylvania steel mill worker searching for his missing brother Rodney, played by Casey Affleck, an Iraq War veteran who disappears after engaging in a bare-knuckle fighting match arranged by John Petty, played by Willem Dafoe, and an indebted bar owner, and Harlan DeGroat, played by Woody Harrelson, a ruthless New Jersey drug dealer. And you can kind of tell from the trailer here, it's kind of all over the place overall. Yeah, it's definitely a movie where I don't think they really had a good idea of what kind of a story they wanted to tell overall with this. But they've had all these big stars in here who are pretty good in here. They are the one thing that holds this together overall. But besides that, there's just way too much going on in the story department, the scripting department, where it really does kind of ruin the ebb and flow of the movie overall. And, you know, this is the type of movie that's a film set in Pittsburgh, shot in Pittsburgh, so yeah, I kind of have a little bit of the soft spot for movies like this, but even someone like me who likes stuff like Striking Distance of all things and Inspector Gadget, I can even look at this and go like, yeah, this isn't the best work from Scott Cooper overall, which is his first film after he did Crazy Heart, and of course he recently did the Springsteen movie, Deliver Me From Nowhere. I mean, this guy's made a lot of good movies. This one, definitely not that one, and yeah, it's a major letdown, especially with everybody involved in it. You really expect so much more from it, but it really has a hard time figuring out what kind of a movie it wants to be, and it just really suffers because of it overall. So, now what to say about that one. So, let's go ahead and wrap this quick one up here with our last movie that we have here, easily the best of the two, the Coen Brothers' latest film, Inside Llewellyn Davis.
In morning, it won't be long, you'll call my name.
Do you ever think about the future at all?
The future? Fairly well.
What'd you say you played?
Folk songs.
Folk songs. Thought you said you were a musician.
Fairly well.
Starts Toronto, December 20th.
I mean, it's essentially the Coen Brothers doing what the Coen Brothers do so well. This is set in 1961 and follows 1 week in the life of Llewellyn Davis, played by Oscar Isaac, in what was his breakout role overall, who's a folk singer struggling to achieve musical success while keeping his life in order. You see, the cast also includes Carey Mulligan, John Goodman, Garrett Hedlund, F. Murray Abraham, Justin Timberlake, and Adam Driver among the cast here. And this is based off of the life of folk singer Dave Von Rook's autobiography, and most of the folk songs performed in the film are sung in full and recorded live, with the music done by T-Bone Burnett, who also worked with the Coen Brothers on Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, which I think that's a much better movie overall, but this is still a pretty damn good movie. It's the Coen Brothers doing what the Coen Brothers do so well. It's shot in a sepia-tone, black and whitish type of film. It's not quite Nebraska, but it's pretty close in terms of the cinematography, but it's still really good. Bruno Del Bano did a very good job with the cinematography on this. The casting overall is really good. The storyline is very engaging overall, and it's a really damn good film. It's a terrifically put together film. And if you want to be technical about it, this is CBS Films. This is probably their overall best film because simply and effectively, it doesn't look like a CBS pilot that was blown up for the big screen. So, yeah, not much more to say about this one. It's a really good movie. I can't recommend it enough. Inside Llewellyn Davis. I told you this was going to be a real quick one, mostly because the two movies that came out are not really films that the studios believed in.
Where does your journey end? You seek that which would bestow upon you the right to rule. The quest to reclaim a homeland and slay a dragon.
Do not think I won't kill you, dwarf.
When did we allow evil to become stronger than us?
It is not our fight.
It is our fight.
What if it's a trap?
It's undoubtedly a trap.
such is the nature of evil. In time, all foul things come forth.
You awaken that beast, you'll destroy us all. Was that an earthquake?
That, my lad, was a dragon.
Dragons, man. I mean, that's... If you are going to sell your movie on anything, that scene was probably it. But, welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. Kind of not doing an intro because it's still Christmas Day, technically, and I was making rather merry today. So we're going to run through this pretty quickly. But we do have 4 big new movies to talk about for December 13, 2013. None bigger than our first movie here, The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug, which is the second film in Peter Jackson's The Hobbit trilogy, which is, of course, the prequel to the Lord of the Rings series. And in this one, Bilbo Baggins, once again played by Martin Freeman, is continuing to accompany Thorin Oakenshield and his fellow dwarves on a quest to reclaim the Lonely Mountain from the dragon Smaug, who we meet in this movie played by Benedict Cumberbatch. Pursuing them are the vengeful orcs Azog the Defiler and his son Bo, while Gandalf the Grey investigates the return of a long-forgotten evil force in the ruins of Dol Guldur. The ensemble cast includes the return of Ian McKellen, you have Richard Armitage, Benedict Cumberbatch, as I mentioned, Evangeline Lilly makes her first appearance in this, Lee Pace, Luke Evans, Ken Stott, James Nesbitt, Orlando Bloom. So overall, yeah, a continuation of the story from the last film, and I like the last film a lot, but it's nothing really memorable. This was the first one I ever saw in a theater of any Lord of the Rings movies in general. This was the first one I saw in theaters, and seeing it in theaters, it was a really good experience overall. And it definitely is a much better, more competently made film than the first movie is. I think they deliver more in the action, they expand more on the story in general. There's a lot more great moments of action sequences, better character development, and that sense that something really big was coming. And when we get to see the dragon himself, Smaug, in the movie, it's pretty awesome. I mean, they did a fantastic job making this dragon look not only realistic, but also fucking terrifying at times. I mean, Benedict Cumberbatch puts his all into this performance overall. He's really the strongest part of this movie. And, and it leads to an ending where you think it's going to be a bigger deal in the last movie. You know, it ends on a cliffhanger. You know, Smaug has come out of his little castle of gold and is about to attack the town, and you're thinking to yourself, oh shit, this is going to be a big, epic battle in the final movie. I mean, I can't wait to see how this turns out. Let's just say, prepare to be somewhat disappointed by the end result of that. But despite that, before we get to that film, of course, this is a really good film. Like I said, it's a terrific film. I think the film does a very good job of expanding the story from the previous film. It's showing the potential of what these Hobbit movies were capable of doing, and I think this one did a fantastic job at it. It was the one that got me hooked into the Lord of the Rings series, starting with this film. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a very good film overall. Definitely a lot better than the first movie, An Unexpected Journey, but I digress. So with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to another sequel that was coming out on this weekend that I know a lot of people were looking forward to. Come on, don't be shy. You know you were looking forward to a Medea Christmas.
The season for giving and loving. What you want?
I want a stocking full of candy.
How about I give you a stocking full of Jenny Craig? Like, get the hell out of here.
I'm looking for lingerie.
Lingerie is for young people with tight, firm stuff. You don't want to walk around with a slingshot up your butt.
Well, Mr. Dan, did you hear the one about the 2 rabbis and the black dude?
Did you hear the one about the stray bullet that killed the redneck for telling the story about the 2 rabbis and the black dude?
A Medea Christmas. Rated PG-13, December 13th.
Obviously, I'm kidding. I mean, let's put it this way. If Larry the Cable Guy is the best thing about your movie, then you know you made something really terrible. Plus, not to mention, what do we always say about Christmas movies that come out after Thanksgiving? 9 times out of 10, that means the studios don't believe in it, they want it to die, and yeah, this movie did not do as well as they think they wanted it to do. But it still did decent business overall. But In this film, it tells the story of Medea going to the fictional town of Bucktussle, Alabama, with her great niece to spend Christmas with her great niece's daughter as financial troubles involving a newly constructed dam that threatens the town. In other words, there's not really a whole lot of a story here. It's nothing but Medea doing these side projects overall, and just these sketches in general, with a cast that also includes Kathleen and Jimmy, Chad Michael Murray, Anna Maria Horsford, Tika Sumpter, Alicia Witt, Lisa Wetchell, and as I mentioned, Larry the Cable Guy. It's nothing that amazing, and not even that funny overall. I mean, I guess you could say it's not a bad movie. I mean, I saw Medea's Witness Protection. That was terrible. This is just... It's just empty calories, really. I would say it's the equivalent to Ernest Saves Christmas, but at least Ernest Saves Christmas has a plot going on that you follow, and is mixed in with the sketches. This is like that, except the plot's been taken out, and it's just the sketches, and the sketches that are in here are not really all that funny. The whole thing with Medea, being a Santa Claus, and she is a bad mall Santa. I mean, it's not like we haven't seen that done before in a movie literally called Bad Santa or A Christmas Story, which coincidentally came out 10 and 20 years before this movie. Is 10 and 30 years before when this movie around the time this movie came out. It's so bad I can't even talk straight. But yeah, this movie isn't that good. I mean, there's nothing you can really say about this film that really isn't anything entertaining whatsoever. I mean, I guess for Medea's fan base, it's good for them, but I mean, I don't know, man. This just didn't work for me. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm not the target audience, but I don't even think the target audience would really get a kick out of this movie overall. At least that's my take on it. But so yeah, that is a Medea Christmas. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie. It's David O. Russell's follow-up to The Silver Linings Playbook and The Fighter, with a couple of stars from both of those movies, American Hustle.
We were the best.
Is this legit?
Let's just say, it's missing from Spain.
Those people, those corrupt people, I'm going after them. Perfect. You're the best at what you do in the whole country. I want you to teach me everything you know. But if you run, then your life's over.
This is where the politicians and the mafia intersect.
You are taking us to a very dangerous place.
What are those the guys that you guys are scared of? They look like the perfect people to buy me a drink.
American Hustle. Select theaters December 13th.
So in American Hustle, it takes place in the 1970s and early 1980s and features Christian Bale and Amy Adams as two con artists who are forced by an FBI agent, played by Bradley Cooper, to set up an elaborate sting operation on a corrupt politician, including the mayor of Camden, New Jersey, played by Jeremy Renner. Jennifer Lawrence plays the unpredictable wife of Bale's character, and you also have Robert De Niro showing up in the movie as well. So like I said, it's a ton of people in this movie that were in David O. Russell's previous two movies, which were more successful, and at least in this person's opinion, more enjoyable and much better than this movie here. It's not that this movie is bad. The cast, I think, is the best part of this movie. Bradley Cooper is great in this movie, elevating himself from just being the typical douchebag boyfriend in Wedding Crashers to being somebody who would later become one of our great actors working right now. Amy Adams is really good in here. Christian Bale is really solid. Jeremy Renner is, Robert De Niro gives a really solid performance in here. It's a cameo, but, you think in the trailer that he's in there, he's going to have a bigger role here, but he's only in here for about a couple of minutes in general here. But if there's two highlight performances in this that I think are really good, Louis C.K. is really good as Bradley Cooper's boss. Now, this was back before Louis C.K. became part of the Me Too move and all that, but, it was a performance that really did show Louis C.K. can range his acting abilities from not just doing these comedic roles in general, but doing something more straightforward like a dramatic performance, and he makes it work very well. And the other great performance in this is, once again, Jennifer Lawrence. I mean, it's a movie where she really does make it work. I mean, she gives another solid performance where she does what she needs to do. I mean, she just lets go and just gives this amazing performance that's right up there with some of the best performances of the year. The biggest fault of the movie is that this is one of the most confusing stories that has ever been put to film. If the story for American Hustle had been more simpler to understand, this would have been just as good as Silver Linings Playbook, but it sadly is not. And it's one of those scripts that just goes all over the place, and it doesn't know where it wants to go when it's all said and done. I don't really know if it's him or if it's just the other writer, Eric Warren Singer, who previously had written The International, which also suffered from a lot of the same problems. A confusing storyline despite two solid actors in that film making it work. there's so much that goes on in this movie that you can't enjoy the film because they keep throwing in these pointless subplots and pointless things that have no purpose to the film whatsoever, but they feel like is more important than anything else in the film, and it just isn't. One of the other baffling things about the script is that they forget that things happen in the film before. Like, there's a scene towards the end where Bradley Cooper finds out that Amy Adams, who's been using an English accent and is upset when, early on in the film when they share scenes, there was clearly a scene where Cooper was talking to Adams in a regular American accent. It's just like, how do you miss that when you're watching this movie or putting this movie together, oh Russell? It just goes all over the place towards the end. It has no real idea where it's supposed to go, what it's the lesson we're supposed to take away from this movie, and I just don't get it whatsoever. Like, the movie isn't bad, it's a movie where the script is just such a disaster. It has no idea what the direction is overall, what is supposed to be the end game of this, but the performances do carry it to the point where I would say it's definitely worth a watch. But if you're going in there looking for another Silver Linings Playbook or The Fighter, one of David O. Russell's best, prepare to be mildly disappointed by it. I mean, I like it, but it's a disappointment overall. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our last movie that we have here, Tom Hanks and Emma Thompson in Disney's Saving Mr. Banks.
Oh, Walt, now you gotta call me Walt.
Behind the magic.
I was just a kid from Missouri with a sketch of Mickey.
Behind the movies.
I am going to do things with you, Mary Poppins, that are revolutionary.
Was the man who created it all.
Welcome to the Magic Kingdom.
Is it all like this?
Yep, isn't it wonderful?
This December, critics are calling Tom Hanks simply sensational.
Wow, there he is.
Yeah!
In one of the year's best films.
That'll work.
Saving Mr. Banks. Rated PG-13 in select cities December 13th.
In a year where there was a movie set in Disney World that was set as a horror movie with Escape from Tomorrow, you get a movie like this that I honestly didn't think Disney would ever do because it just doesn't feel like the type of film Disney would make. But lo and behold, Saving Mr. Banks is definitely one of those films. Tom Hanks plays Walt Disney, and when his daughters beg him to make a movie off their favorite book, Mary Poppins, he makes then a promise, one that he didn't realize that would take 20 years to keep. In order to obtain the rights, Walt comes up against a curmudgeonly, uncompromising writer who has absolutely no intentions of letting her beloved magical nanny get mauled by the Hollywood machine. That is, of course, P.L. Travers, played by Emma Thompson. But as the book stops selling and money goes short, Travers maliciously agrees to go to L.A. to hear Disney's plans for the adaptation. For the 2 short weeks in 1961, Disney pulls out all the stops. Armed with imaginative storyboards and chirpy songs from the talented Sherman Brothers, Walt launches an all-out onslaught on P.L. Travers, but the prickly author doesn't budge. He soon begins to watch helplessly as Travers becomes increasingly immovable, and the rights begin to move further away from his grasp. It is only when he reaches into his own childhood that Walt discovers the truth about the ghosts that haunt her, and together they set Mary Poppins free to ultimately make one of the most endearing films in cinematic history. And like I said, this is a movie that I didn't think Disney would be ever to make, because I didn't even think they would even allow the story to be told in one of these, because, what they ended up letting them do in the film itself, and you know what? I give a lot of credit for them to doing that, because it's a movie where it shows the flaws of Disney back in the day. He spent 20 years trying to get this movie Mary Poppins made, and and he's doing everything he can to show her, this writer what they can do with her material overall. And it's a very fascinating film to watch overall. I think Tom Hanks really does give a really solid performance as Walt Disney. I mean, this is the guy that in this decade is going to play Walt Disney, Sully Sullenberg, Mr. Rogers, and Captain Phillips. I mean, talk about a great decade for Hanks in general here. And Emma Thompson gives probably her best overall performance I've ever seen her in since Howard's End. I mean, this is a really damn good performance by her. But it's Emma Thompson. Emma Thompson usually does not sleepwalk a role, even if it's not a good film. She usually carries the load overall, but I like the story overall. I think it's engaging and exciting, and it's bold for Disney, letting the audience see the behind the scenes of what it takes to make a classic like this. Going through the trials and tribulations and doing stuff that you wouldn't see on Disneyland back in the 1950s on television. I mean, this is really good stuff overall, and it's directed by John Lee Hancock, this first film he did since The Blind Side, and proves that he's a solid director overall. And like I said, the drama is nicely done. The acting is great all across the board. It never feels like it's trying to go for that Oscar bait approach that this film could have easily gone down. It's a really enjoyable movie. It's a film that Disney takes a lot of chances on it overall. I didn't think they could make a movie like this because they would probably play it safe, but it doesn't do that. It's actually a bold, daring film from Disney overall, and I think it's one that definitely deserves to be seen. it's a really great film. I really enjoyed it. I can't recommend it enough. See Saving Mr. Banks. It's one of Disney's best films of the last in the last 15 years.
Over 1,000 reasons to see Anchorman 2. Number 15, Fighting.
Remember I told you I had Ice-Capade tickets for this Friday? None of you are invited!
Number 27, Blindness.
Do you have any idea what it's like to drink a bottle of ketchup thinking it was a 1946 Chateau Neuf de Pape?
You couldn't tell that was ketchup?
I'm blind!
Number 54, Catfights.
If you touch Ron, I will shoot you in the cooch with a BB gun, because this white thunder rolls deep and it rolls nasty.
Yow. Number 69, Crabs.
Not to brag or anything, but I just gave Florence Henderson crabs.
That is in no way a brag. I gave her a whole Brady bunch of crabs. And
93! 93!
Rick, your legs are fine.
Anchorman 2, rated PG-13.
And welcome to Time About the Movies. I know what you're thinking. Why is our light off? Well, the last couple of days we've been dealing with a lot of electrical problems. Mostly, you think it'd be all over the house, but no. Our lights have been flickering on and off the last couple of nights, and they've been going off for a long period of time. So I'm trying to do this really quickly so I can get as much footage as I can here, so I can go ahead and charge this on the phone. I want to try to get an episode of the show out here today, but hopefully the electrician comes tomorrow and finally fixes this, but it's been not the best couple of days around here. So with all that said, that's why we don't have an intro. We're just jumping on into it here. We're going to take a look at 3 films on December 20th, 2013. And we're starting off with the sequel to Anchorman, Anchorman 2, The Legend Continues, which follows 9 years after the previous movie and shows that Ron is now working in New York City with his entire crew. He's got all of his friends, but Tamlin, Champ, and Brian Fantana and Veronica Corningstone is still around, even though they've split up since the end of the last movie. And you just got a ton of different people in this cast here. This thing is stacked with a lot of people. With Harrison Ford is basically the head of the network that they're working at. And this is a movie where it's one of those sequels where I talk about it all the time, how it's a comedy sequel that does not need to exist. It's a sequel that is coming way after the last movie, and ordinarily this would probably mean that the movie is bad. However, with Anchorman 2, it's just as funny enough as the original film is to make me say it's definitely worth it overall. I think it's a very fun film overall. There are times when the comedy doesn't work all the time, but it still is a really funny movie. I like the fact that they elevate the level of comedy to the next level with this movie at times, and it's a movie that knows how silly it is and knows how ridiculous it is, but it still manages to deliver a really good fun time all across the board. If there's one other thing I'll say kind of against the movie, this thing stacks a huge-ass cast to this movie. Like, they got all these big stars for cameos in here that feel really pointless. Like, you got, some of the new people in here. As I mentioned, Harrison Ford is one of the main characters in here. You got Greg Kinnear in here, Megan Good, Dylan Baker, Kristen Wiig is also in here as well. But then you have people like Eliza Coupe from Happy Endings, June Diane Raphael, who's been in a couple Will Ferrell movies, Paula Pell, Drake, Sacha Baron Cohen, Marion Cotillard, Will Smith, Jim Carrey, Tina Fey, Liam Neeson, Amy Poehler, John C. Reilly, Vince Vaughn, Kanye West. I mean, you have all these people in here, and most of them are in this big conclusion of the movie, which is really just a an expansion of the fight scene from the original Anchorman. So they basically got all these different networks coming in here, and it's a little bit much, but it can still be really funny when it needs to. And I mean, it's a movie that knows how ridiculous it is, and it just knows how to make it work overall. Fun fact here, Harrison Ford, there's actually a part of this movie where he actually turns into the Hulk. So yeah, this movie predated Captain America: Brave New World 12 years earlier. So, but yeah, this is a really good movie. It's a silly movie. It's about as good as the original Anchorman movie, and really, that's all you can ask for a film like this. It's very funny. It's very well done. I really enjoyed the hell out of it. I thought it was a ton of fun. Can't recommend it enough. Anchorman 2, The Legend Continues. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, Walking with Dinosaurs 3D. Now, you would think that 20th Century Fox would be smart to not dumb this down to kids or make something incredibly stupid by adding these pointless celebrity voiceovers in here. You would think that this film would be smart enough to do that, but no, of course they didn't.
In a a time of wonder. Lived the most amazing creatures ever to walk the earth. Like me. Wait, that's not me. That's me. Down here. We're pachyrhinosaurs. We may not be as scary as a gorgosaur, but we're way tougher. My mom watches over us, but my dad, he's in charge of the whole herd. And those are my brothers and sisters. I know, annoying.
You see exactly what I'm talking about here with this. This is a movie called Walking with Dinosaurs, and this is based off of actually a Discovery Channel Discovery Channel series where it was like a Discovery Channel miniseries or something like that, or not even Discovery Channel, it was the BBC, because this is based off of a documentary miniseries of the same name from BBC Earth. And the story here is that you have an underdog dinosaur named Patchy who must find his courage to become the leader of his herd as well as become a hero for the ages. And yeah, let's talk about the biggest problems with this movie right from the get-go. The voice cast. I mean, this movie is the definition of dumbing yourself down to kids and making the most stupidest movie ever, because that's exactly what this movie is. This falls into the same category as The Land Before Time and Dinosaurs, where the intention was always to be a silent dinosaur movie, but then the studio comes in to say, we can't have that because we need these celebrities to come in here. We need these voice actors to be in this movie. We need you to write material for them to use, because if we don't, kids will not pay attention to this, because heaven forbid if kids can just look at some visuals and just get the storytelling from there. But no, we gotta create a story and dumb it down to the most pathetic excuses ever. This script is terrible, and the worst part about it is that the writer of this is John Colley. You know what else he wrote? Happy Feet. He wrote that movie, and he actually made that film work. Not with this movie. No. This is about as dumb as it gets. And on top of that, not even with him, the co-director of this is Barry Cook. What's the last movie he directed? Arthur Christmas. So, you got two people who made two really good animated films from the past decade working on this movie. And this is the best material they could come up with? No. The studio made them write the script. The studio forced them to throw in the lazy humor, the lazy voice acting. You got John Leguizamo, Justin Long, Tia Sakar, Cara Urban's in here. For what? Like, what is the point of having these people in this movie? No reason whatsoever. Like, I compared it to... I'll go back on what I said, on something I said before. The Land Before Time, while it does have the voice actors in there, you still connected with the characters because they were kids. They were in a situation where, you felt like you knew what the kind of situation they were in. Plus, it was made by somebody like Don Bluth, who's not going to dumb himself down to children back then. At least back then he didn't. But then Dinosaur, this is more like Dinosaur. This is like that movie where they throw in the random voice actors because we gotta appeal to the kids of today, yo. These 80-something-year-old studio executives who are trying to appease to 10-year-olds, like the Steve Buscemi meme. Hello there, young people. Just like, no, you can't do that with this movie. Like, this is about as terrible of a movie as you can get. Yes, from a visual perspective, it's great. But what do we always say here? Visuals do not make the fucking movie. And this is a prime example of that because the script that they give you here is one of the most detestable, most please be hip with us, let's be hip to the kids type of material that I have seen from a kids film in a long, long time. This is about as pathetic of a movie as you could possibly get. I mean, I thought by this point in 2013 we were past this point, but no. Not the good people at 20th Century Fox. No. Yeah, started to see why they should have sold to Disney a long time ago, or sold to another studio, because they keep making garbage like this, and this is the end result you get from it. Just a fucking terrible movie, man. I hate it. I hate it so much. So there you go. Not much more to say about that one. That's Walking with Dinosaurs. Now let's go ahead and get back to the good stuff here. Let's take a look at our last movie that we have here, Spike Jonze's latest, Her.
The first artificially intelligent operating system.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Samantha. I want to learn everything about everything.
I love the way you look at the world. I feel like I can be anything with you.
Me too.
her to me, Samantha.
Her. Rated R. In select theaters Wednesday.
Spike Jonze predicts the future, man. I mean, what more can you say about this, man? I mean, that's literally what this film is. I mean, the concept of the movie is that you have this guy who's played by Joaquin Phoenix, a man who develops a relationship with Samantha, voiced by Scarlett Johansson, who's an artificially intelligent operating system personalized through a female voice. The film also features Amy Adams, Rooney Mara, Olivia Wilde, and Chris Pratt, and it was actually a film that also features some notable names in this. Well, technically they weren't in here, but this is also dedicated to people like James Gandolfini, who is Harris Savides, Maurice Sendak, and Adam Yash, who all died before the film's release. And of course, Gandolfini and Sendak were involved with Where the Wild Things Are. But this movie overall, despite predicting the future, it's a pretty damn good movie. It's an amazing film with what I think is probably Joaquin Phoenix's overall greatest performance ever. I mean, the Joker, he was fine in the first Joker movie, but this right here, this is exactly what I think of when I think of the best overall film that he's done. This is him playing a character who's in an interesting situation, who's falling in love with basically a robot. And hey, who can blame her? Who could blame him? It's the voice of Scarlett Johansson. And by the way, this takes place in 2025 Los Angeles, and we still are about, 6 days away from the new year happening. So, well, technically, I just said that this thing pretty much came to life overall. So, like I said, Spike Jonze predicted the future on this one. So, what am I saying? But yeah, this is a really good movie. Phoenix and Johansson have great chemistry together. Spike Jonze feels like he's making a movie that feels like his own again. It doesn't feel like he's doing something like Where the Wild Things Are, which was ambitious, but fell apart mostly because of the storytelling overall. But here, it's back to form for him. I think he's done a fantastic job with this. I mean, he really is doing a brilliant job with this film overall. It's a really well-made film. It's no wonder he won the Best Original Screenplay Oscar for this. And actually, I found out this was actually his most recent narrative film, because he's mostly gone back to doing documentaries in general overall. I don't think he's done anything of noteworthiness. No, he hasn't done any major theatrical releases since then. So, overall, 4 movies he's made, and Where the Wild Things Are maybe his worst one, but even then, it isn't a terrible movie by any means necessary. It's just the script and the characters and the main character are not really all that good. It's still a decent film overall, and still nothing I would say is terrible overall. But I mean, that being John Malkovich adaptation in this film, I'd say that's a pretty good directorial run for him. So more power to him, man. But yeah, this is a really good film. It's a really entertaining movie, fantastic film, one of the year's best movies easily. Her is just simply brilliant all across the board. Just a wonderful, wonderful film.
The greatest company in the world!
Rolling Stone calls The Wolf of Wall Street one of the best movies of the year.
Oh!
Scorsese's filmmaking is lethally hilarious.
That untie. I can't untie you. The captain tied you. He was tasing you. Why?
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Trying to make a name for ourselves.
Jonah Hill.
$26,000 for one dinner! Tell them about the sides. What, did they cure cancer?
The sides did cure cancer. That's the problem.
The Wolf of Wall Street, rated R.
The show goes on!
December 25th.
Hello and welcome to Time About the Movies. If you didn't follow yesterday's video, you saw that we're dealing with a lot of electrical issues here. We apparently have a bad circuit breaker. That's the good news. We figured out what the problem is. The bad news is we can't get a new one until Tuesday morning. So, because of that, I'm going to really have to limit as much time using as much electricity as I can. So, that's why I'm doing this right now, about 11:30 in the morning on Saturday. So I want to try to get something out there for you for the next couple of days. But if it has to be this, so be it. But I should be able to do movie stop episodes because I'm going out later today. I got to go see Anaconda later, so I'll try to get a review for that later in the day, hopefully with some electricity in the air. But yeah, needless to say, the next couple of days are not going to be pretty for me. So, but yeah, that's one kind of in a bummer mood to start this off here. And I wanted to talk about, especially this week, because this was an important week in my life, because this was the week when the Reviewing Network website officially came to be, December 25th, 2013, after Spill.com shut down. You know, this is when it all began, but, you know, this is what's going on right now with the electricity and the bad circuit breaker and all that. That's kind of bumming me out here. But I'm gonna pull through, because we have to get through this. I'm already wasting a lot of your time. We have 7 movies to look at today, so let's not waste any more time and just get right to it. This is Time About the Movies. This is the last weekend of 2013, December 25th, Christmas Day 2013. And we begin with the biggest of the new releases, Martin Scorsese's latest, The Wolf of Wall Street. In it, Leonardo DiCaprio plays Jordan Belfort, a Long Island penny stockbroker who served 20 months in prison for defrauding investors in a massive 1990 security scheme that involved widespread corruption on Wall Street, and is the corporate banking world, including shoe designer Steve Madden. The movie has had a lot of controversy over the last few months because of the runtime issues. When it came out, I should say, not now, but when it came out, it had controversy because there was a lot of the runtime issues. The most notable controversies including using the F word, orgy scenes, very raunchy material. Just thought that would make Grandma have a heart attack, pretty much. But as far as the movie goes, I really enjoyed the hell out of this movie. I really did enjoy it. For a director like Martin Scorsese, it's great to have a guy that still hasn't resorted to settling down and just taking whatever script comes his way and makes the same movie over and over again. Ridley Scott. But Scorsese's a guy who, he's made many different types of movies for different genres and different audiences, and usually will put his heart and effort into every single one of them, and this one is no exception. The cast is top-notch. DiCaprio is clearly having a time of his life playing Jordan Belfort, and I thought he was great in this movie, although I will say I liked his performance as Jay Gatsby better in The Great Gatsby earlier in the year, but I mean, that's just my personal take on that. But Jonah Hill really is coming into his own as an actor, not just being the typical, there's the funny guy and there's the funny fat guy. No, he's actually putting in a lot of effort into these movies. Like Moneyball, for example, is another great one which shows off his true potential as a dramatic actor. And here, he's really good here. He actually did a good enough job to get a supporting actor Oscar nomination. And, you know, it's not hard to see why, but the big standout of the movie, obviously, is Margot Robbie, who plays his wife for the majority of the film, because not only is she gorgeous to look at, but she really gives a solid performance in this. And I've always liked her. I've liked her in a lot of stuff. I liked her on the short-lived show Pan Am. I liked her in Midnight in Paris, About Time. Like, she's really good in the movie, and, like, hey, you get to see her butt-ass naked, too, so that's a win-win on everyone's part, too. But, yeah, like, she looks unbelievably sexy in this movie, and not only that, she can act her ass off. But you also get great performances from Kristen Milioti from How I Met Your Mother. This was back when she was around. She was known for that, but, you know, she's great in this. Matthew McConaughey has a great brief role in here. So you got Kyle Chandler, the late Rob Reiner, Jon Favreau, John Barenthal, Drew Jardine, Joanne Lumley, Spike Jonze, Ethan Suplee. A solid cast all across the board in here. For a movie that's 3 hours long, it moves at a good enough pace that you don't even realize you've been sitting there for 3 hours. I mean, towards the end, yeah, there's a couple points where it could have easily ended, but it doesn't. But it doesn't, and they're very few and far between, so you really don't notice it when it's all said and done. The over-the-top scenes are so hilarious to watch. I mean, this gets insane for no reason whatsoever, and you know, I don't think I've never seen the director's cut of this. I've only seen the original cut, but I've heard the director's cut is so crazy overall, and I mean, what do you mean I've heard? I'm thinking to myself, have they actually put out a director's cut of this? I'm trying to think. No, it is still yet to be officially released. I just looked right now, and yeah, I would have liked to see that 4-hour cut. Let's see how crazy this movie would have gotten, because it probably would have been even crazier than I think anybody would have expected it to be, but bottom line, this movie is freaking amazing, man. It's one of the strongest movies of the year. It's definitely one of Scorsese's stronger films in the last couple of years. Probably my favorite one since The Departed. The cast sells it. The runtime is good. It's for the most part carefully handled. The story is very understandable, and the out-of-control moments are just so nicely handled. This is a terrific, terrific film. I can't recommend this puppy enough. The Wolf of Wall Street's great. Speaking of really good movies I mean, this Wolf of Wall Street was a big hit. This one, sadly, not so much. Ben Stiller's The Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
This is Walter's secret life. I'm Walter Mitty. This holiday season, he'll stop dreaming and start living.
You're in Iceland. I'm looking for
The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. PG.
So I've kind of already touched on a video on this earlier in the year, so if you want to go check that out, I'll leave a link to it in the corner, but this is a movie that's basically a remake of a classic movie from the 40s about a daydreamer who's 40s or 50s, but it's a daydreamer who escapes his anonymous life by disappearing into a world of fantasies filled with heroism, romance, and action. When his job, along with that of his co-worker, played by Kristen Wiig, are threatened, Walter takes action in the real world, embarking on a global journey that turns into an adventure more extraordinary than anything he could ever imagine. Like, if you want to see is where that inspiration, the visual inspiration for Severance came from, this is the movie to really show with here. This is an impressive feat for Ben Stiller to really delve into some unique territory here. The casting is great. He's great playing the main character in this, giving probably one of his best performances overall. I know that trailer. I'll say this: the trailers on TV really do a bad job of selling the movie, which probably is why the movie didn't do as well as it should have. But yeah, Ben Stiller's not that obnoxious in this movie. Kristen Wiig I thought was pretty good as the love interest here. I like a chemistry with Stiller. Adam Scott giving another great villainous performance in this. Like, he really makes it work. Sean Penn's really good in here, giving one of the stronger performances of his career. Shirley MacLaine, Catherine Hahn, Patton Oswalt. I mean, this is a really, really good cast in this movie with a really good setup here. The fantasy sequences are excellent. The transitions, these are seamless. They all work really well. There's one in particular that doesn't work that well, but it's just one out of a couple. So yeah, you take what you can get here. The cinematography is top-notch here. I thought the ending worked really, really well. I thought it was really well done. And it was one of those ones where I came out of it going like, I didn't really know how to feel about this ending. I thought it was mostly not that good. But once I got around to it and once I thought about it more, I did find myself enjoying it a lot more than I could have imagined. The only thing I didn't like about it was that one dream sequence where it's literally a parody of The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. It feels really unnecessary. Just like it didn't feel like it needed to be in there. It felt like Ben Stiller didn't take his own medicine by looking at Tropic Thunder and saying, is with the Simple Jack thing and all that. It's just like, I want to do a movie. I want to do something like that. Except I want to do it with Benjamin Button. That's what I kind of felt like with that part in particular. But I mean, it's a movie that I'm baffled a lot of people are mixed on, because this is a really, really damn good movie. A very underrated film. And like I said, it's a precursor to what Ben Stiller would bring to the table with Severance later on, because you can see a lot of influences from this movie in that show. And Severance is a great show overall, but like I said, I've touched on this in greater length, so if you want to go check that out, link will be in the corner. So anyway, that's The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. So let's go ahead and get to a film that was not a success as when it came out, and really when you look at it, it's not hard to see why. 47 Ronin.
Their army is infinite.
We are 47.
We end this now.
Your world will burn.
47 Ronin. Rated PG-13.
Even the trailer announcer sounds like he's desperately trying to appeal to a specific group, to a specific audience by talking like a Japanese stereotype. It's like, rated PG-13. Like, did you notice that at the end of that? Or maybe that was just me, I don't know. But this is 47 Ronin. This is a movie that is a work of Chushiguna, the Treasury of the Lord of Retainers, a fictionalized account of the 47 Ronin, a real-life group of masterless samurai in 18th century Japan who are avenging the death of their daimyo, Asano Naganori, by battling his rival Kira Yoshinaka. Starring Keanu Reeves in the leading role, which probably is your first mistake right there. Why are you casting Keanu Reeves for a role like this? But alongside Hiroko Sanada, Tanabe Asano, Riko Kikuchi, and Ko Shibashika, the film bears little resemblance to its historical basis compared to previous adaptations, and instead serves as a stylized interpretation, such as it's set in a world of witches and giants. And there's your first mistake right there. Just the whole idea of this movie is really, really stupid, and they take something that could make for a good movie, but it's not. It's a movie where it's just such a colossal mess on so many levels. It's a dull movie. There's nothing of interest happening here. It's way too long. Like, this is the opposite of The Wolf of Wall Street, where you know you're sitting in here for way too goddamn long. It's just like, come on, man, wrap this shit up already. It's so bad that the people of Japan turned this movie down. This thing didn't do shit in Japan. It was a massive flop there. It was a massive flop here in the States, even though it did make at least it made back. It didn't even make back its $175 million budget. It was close. It was about $150 million. But then again, you wouldn't expect much from the director who's literally going to jail next year for defrauding, for money laundering and wire fraud. Yeah, Carl Lynch is the director of this movie. And if you don't know, Netflix had hired him to direct this big project for them. And he was arrested and charged in a 7-count federal indictment, and the prosecutors accused the director for defrauding Netflix of $11 million and spending the money on personal expenses. And he was basically sent to jail for money laundering and wire fraud. He's going to get sentenced in April. I just saw this now, but it's just like, man, talk about the definition of a hack director. I mean, this guy does not give a fuck about making a good movie, and it shows here. Like, this is, and I get it. We love Keanu Reeves, but we want to see Keanu Reeves in good movies, and thankfully next year he'll have a really good movie in John Wick next year. But yeah, this is unbelievable. This is not a good movie, and it's hard to see. It's not hard to see why. It's just not entertaining, man. It's just a bland, boring movie. The visuals are terrible. The storytelling makes no sense. The action isn't any good. It's a bad movie. It's a bad movie. So let's go ahead and get back to some good stuff again. Let's go ahead and take a look at our next film, which is Sylvester Stallone and Robert De Niro in Grudge Match.
The video of your fight was going viral. You don't know what I mean by going viral. What type of 2 out of touch, oh?
Hey.
I got a company that wants the official rematch. They're gonna pay you $100,000.
Not worth it.
You mean it ain't worth it? I'm looking at your house. Boom, boom, boom. Grudge Day.
Your moves, they bounce when you jump. It's like bad Baywatch.
Bang, bang, bang.
You're just here to buy a little dinner. You don't have to punch everything. Hey, Webster, show a little respect.
I choose to believe Jesus called me Webster because of my vocabulary.
No, it's because you're short and black.
What was Jesus like? I'm curious. Was he cool?
Rated PG-13.
Because somewhere out there, somebody was waiting for that crossover of Rocky Balboa and Jake LaMotta. In this movie, you have boxers Henry Razor Sharp, played by Sylvester Stallone, and Billy the Kid McDonough, played by Robert De Niro, who become rivals after 2 fights, one of which Kid beats Razor and the other in which Razor beats Kid. Before they have a rematch, Razor announces his retirement, ruining both of their careers. Years later, Razor is working in a shipyard when he's visited by a promoter, played by Kevin Hart, who wants Razor to promote a motion capture performance for a video game. Razor begrudgingly accepts $15,000 needed to renovate his house, and at the recording studio, he is surprised by Kid, who is also invited by Slate. And the two of them get their fight, damage the studio equipment before being arrested. Cell phone footage of the fight is uploaded to YouTube and goes viral, giving Slate the idea of organizing a final fight between Razor and Kid, which he calls a grudge match. And this film obviously got a lot of bad rap from a lot of people. It was not a big hit when it came out, and, it's a shame because it's not that bad, far from it. I actually think it's a very enjoyable movie, but then again, that's what Peter Siegel does. This director, of course, I've touched on him before. He's one of those comfort food directors. Like, he makes movies that are just simply fun comedies. I mean, he made two of my favorite comedies, Naked Gun 33 1/3 and Tommy Boy. He also directed the surprisingly funny My Fellow Americans. He just did Get Smart, Anger Management, 50 First Dates, The Longest Yard. His only real stumble was Nutty Professor 2: The Clumps, and even then, it wasn't that bad of a movie. It was just a major disappointment compared to the first film. And this one really is a fun movie. It's not the greatest movie ever, but it's a movie where it simply just lets you have fun with what they're doing here. And I had a good time watching it. There was a lot of problems with it. Like, there's a lot of it that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And it's just like, it's another one of those things, like Without the Furnace. It's a Pittsburgh movie. I'm a sucker for these type of films overall. Plus, the trailers make it seem like Kevin Hart is in the movie a lot, but he isn't in this movie as much as Stallone and De Niro are. Kevin Hart's in there, but he's not in there for the majority of the film. Like, he doesn't have a big part in this movie that makes you think he does. And don't get me wrong, I like Kevin Hart overall, and I want the guy to have a big career, and luckily he did after this. And, just 2 months later, he'd be in a much better comedy that came out called About Last Night, but we'll touch on that in a couple months from now. But I thought Hart was pretty good, but the trailers really put the focus on him in this, even though there's nothing about him in it. There's not even a big thing in this movie, a big role for him in this movie in general. But there is a part where the Stallone's character does call off the fight, and it makes you think that which makes everybody antsy at him. But then 2 minutes later, he just agrees to do the fight again. So it's like it's killing time by doing something that feels 100% pointless. Like, it literally... We had a movie earlier in the year, Equestria Girls, which kind of did the same thing, where there's a whole segment that could have easily been cut out. It feels unnecessary to add to the movie, but we need to add 10 minutes to the storyline here. Like, I don't get why this is doing that, considering that this movie's already over 100 minutes long, so what's the point of adding that? But those are some of the bad things. But the good things about it is that Stallone and De Niro are great together. I like what they do here. I mean, none of them blew the great chemistry they shared in Copland and transfer that over to here, wink, wink, because, you know, De Niro told Stallone, you blew it, in Copland, but they're both really good in here. Kim Basinger's good for the role she's given in here. She's kind of doing a mix between Adrian and Ricky from Rocky and Raging Bull. John Barathol is very good playing De Niro's son. Alan Arkin's got some good fun moments in Stallone's friend. I like that banter between him and Kevin Hart in the trailer, but it works really well. It's very made, and it is kind of suspenseful to watch. We don't get a bullshit ending like we got from Joe Somebody, where Tim Allen and Patrick Warburton are going to have this fight in the end, and then they basically decide, let's not fight, let's just go home. It's just like, why are we even here then? We don't get that. We do get a legitimate fight, and the conclusion is a good conclusion. We get another movie that just decides to end quickly, and it's a movie where that's the one thing I will say about it. It's a movie where the conclusion is good. I wish the ending didn't end so rapidly. I really wish that this film got a proper ending, but no, the fight happens, we're done, movie's over, thanks for watching, good night. And it's just like, come on, man, but despite all that, Grudge Match is a fun movie. It's a fun, good time. If you ever wanted to see Rocky and Jake LaMotta going at each other, this is the movie that does it for you. And it's not meant to be taken seriously. It's a good, fun time. I enjoyed it. Grudge Match is a fun film overall. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie. Going back to some crap that nobody really wants to see. Here's Justin Bieber's Believe.
He went from the kid on YouTube to worldwide arena veteran.
There's a lot of expectation on him.
He's constantly being judged.
Everybody's trying to tear him apart.
Are you aware that you could be the next train wreck?
At the end of the day, I make music. I want to inspire fans. They're who I do this for.
Justin Bieber's Believe.
Why did he always lose his shirt? You knew that was coming.
Rated PG. In theaters Christmas Day.
So here's that movie that everyone thought Never Say Never was going to be, except it's literally a sequel because the first film was such a success. The sequel to Never Say Never continues to focus on Bieber's rise to international fame as he embarks on his Believe tour. In new interviews with Bieber, the movie reveals long-awaited answers to questions about his passion to make music, relationships, and coming of age in the spotlight, as well as never-before-seen concert footage and behind-the-scenes access. It features interviews with Justin's mother, Patty, mentor Usher Raymond, manager Scott Braun, recording artist Ludacris, as well as others. And really, the biggest problem with the movie is the fact that it literally does nothing new that we hadn't seen in Never Say Never. Like, literally, you don't learn anything new about Justin Bieber that you didn't already know from Never Say Never. This feels absolutely pointless. It's a cash grab because the first film was such a success. And yeah, this movie is pretty lame. Like, I gave Never Say Never a pass because they actually did some stuff with it that actually did kind of make it enjoyable. But here, it's just nothing more the same thing over and over again. It's just like, everyone's talking about, you're never going to make it, you're never going to do this. It's just kind of like, come on, man, we just did this in the last movie. Just move on. And just like, yeah, it just doesn't work overall. The first one you can give a pass to because it was actually doing something unique with it. But this is just repeating the same thing over and over again. And it just didn't work. So, yeah. So that's Justin Bieber's Believe. Just watch Never Say Never and you'll be good to go. But with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that is August, Osage County.
I'm here. Your father disappeared.
This is a complex mother-daughter story.
Every family has its secrets.
He walked out this door. Maybe he needed some time away from you. Oh, that's nice of you to say.
None as wickedly hilarious as these.
Mom smuggled a bottle of Darkset in her.
You want to search me?
No.
Audiences see in this story their own family couldn't be this bad.
Eat the fish.
Are we breaking things now?
August, Osage County, rated R.
Yeah, like I said, the Weinstein Company didn't have a great award slate in 2013. This is based off of a Pulitzer Prize-winning play by Tracy Letts, and this is directed by John Wells, one of the creators of Shameless and one of the people that worked on ER. It stars an ensemble cast that includes Meryl Streep, Julia Roberts, Ewan McGregor, Chris Cooper, Abigail Breslin, Benedict Cumberbatch, Juliette Lewis, Margot Martindale, Dermot Mulroney, Juliana Nicholson, and Misty Upham as a dysfunctional family that reunites at the family home when the patriarch, Sam Shepard, suddenly disappears. And yeah, Sam Shepard, it makes sense for him to be in a movie like this, because this film really does feel like some of his works of the past. Like, Sam Shepard's, of course, made some movies back in the day that were very similar to this. I'm trying to remember which ones ones in particular. It was, let's see if I can find it here. Why can't I find it? Like, the film that comes mostly to mind is Far North, and is a movie that really did not work at all. And this one is slightly better than that, but even then, it's not a very good movie overall. It's a pretty lame movie, honestly. You know, it's a movie that's trying to be like a mix between what Sam Shepard used to do back in the day and stuff like Steel Magnolias. Yeah, the acting is great in this, of course it is, because you got acting royalty, people like, you know, Meryl Streep and Julia Roberts, but you gotta give them something a bit more to do besides a movie that's basically nothing but watching a family argue for an hour and a half. It's just like, give us something more than that. And yeah, this movie, it didn't do it for me. It's a movie that I thought was kind of boring. There was nothing funny about it. There was nothing really emotional about these relationships in general. It just really fell apart on all types of levels, and it just never really did anything for me. Like, give me something entertaining here. I just didn't see it with this movie in particular. And, you know, with a movie like this that has Meryl Streep and Julia Roberts, along with a cast that includes Benedict Cumberbatch and Ewan McGregor and Juliette Lewis, you gotta give me something more than this. And it just never came with this movie, unfortunately. It just wasn't good for me. And yeah, it wasn't a good film overall. I really didn't like it. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our last movie here, and it's definitely a much better movie than August Osage County, Lone Survivor.
Brothers, there's a drive inside of me, and I can never forget. Because of them, anything was possible. We're good, right? We're solid. See? God's looking out for us. Shot me. We're all shot, bro. Can you fight? I can fight. I can fight.
Lone Survivor, rated R.
Or as most people like to think of it, Peter Berg's apology for Battleship. And as I like to think of it, Mark Wahlberg's apology for Two Guns. This movie is definitely better than those two movies, easily. This is based off the failed mission of Operation Red Wings, which tasked 4 members of SEAL Team 10, played by Mark Wahlberg, Taylor Kitsch. By the way, Taylor Kitsch, apology for him, too, because, you know, of course, Battleship and John Carter. Here's a much better movie for him, Emil Hirsch and Ben Foster, on June 28, 2005, to kill Taliban leader Ahmad Shah. They were quickly compromised and under attack. Peter Berg's directorial career has been mostly a good one. We've talked about a lot of his really good films, Very Bad Things, The Rundown, Friday Night Lights, The Kingdom, and Hancock. Battleship was easily the worst film he'd done, and he basically is, you know, like, this movie was essentially a film that was basically made because he made Battleship, and he said it that this movie was made because they wanted him to do Battleship, and the only way he could get this movie done is if he did that film. So that's the one thing you got to give Battleship credit for. Had that movie not exist, this film would never have been made. And there's been a lot of good war movies in the last couple of years. Zero Dark 30, The Hurt Locker, The Kingdom. Like, this is a really, really solid film. Like, this movie has a lot of stuff I really like about it. Mark Wahlberg, I thought, was great as Marcus Luttrell. Giving probably his best performance of his career, Taylor Kitsch was really good in a movie here. And he was actually really solid in this. Like, the guy's not a bad actor, but, man, he had a lot of really bad films in 2012 that really kind of dampened his career. Because he was also in Savages, too. I just realized that. Emil Hirsch is really good. Ben Foster is really good here. You got good casting from Eric Bana, Alexander Ludwig. I thought Yusuf Azami playing Ahmad Shah was really good in this movie. He was really sadistic in this. The war scenes are nicely handled with blood effects that are very realistic. But then again, when you have somebody like Greg Nicotero from The Walking Dead working on the makeup and blood, yeah, of course it's going to look good. That does, however, lead to some of the problems with the movie, and the reason why I don't think it's as good as some of the more recent war films, like, the entire second act is about the 4 Navy SEALs surviving the attack from the Taliban, and while the blood effects and violence are nicely done, there comes a point in the middle where it does get a little bit boring because nothing is happening, and it's mostly the same stuff we saw in the first half in general. You know, it takes up a majority of the film's runtime. We also have a pointless scene where Eric Bana leads a helicopter of soldiers who try to save the SEALs, but then they get blown up, and it's just kind of like, the way they built it up make it seem like we're going to reach the end of the movie, and yet they're all dead within a matter of minutes. It's like something out of Tropic Thunder when Steve Coogan gets blown off by that landmine. It's just like, but that's a comedy. This is supposed to be a real serious situation here, and what's with all the beards in the SEALs? Like, I swear to God, about 80% of the people in the SEALs all have beards of different kinds. Like, even though the people in real life didn't even have the beards. It's just kind of like, you can tell that because they actually showed the people, and most of them didn't have beards. It's just like, what the heck? It's just, I don't know. That's my personal thing about that. But you know, this is definitely a movie I can watch over and over again, because I would not go out of my way to consider in the same veins as something like Saving Private Ryan, Black Hawk Down, Hurt Locker, Kingdom, Zero Dark 30, all those movies. But Peter Berg clearly knows what he's doing with this, and this is a movie where it's clear that this is a much better put-together film than Battleship was. A good mix of practical effects and CG effects. I wish the movie was better, but it actually was, but if its biggest flaw is that the war scene does go on too long. There's a lot of inaccuracies, pointless scenes that run on too long, but it's a movie that I would still definitely say it's more than worth the watch. I would highly recommend it. It's definitely a lot better than Battleship, which is I mean, something that you can't, it's really not saying a whole lot, but after watching Battleship and knowing that this is a film that had to be made, that he was trying to get this made for, I'm misleading you on this. Like, what I'm saying is that knowing that this was the film that Peter Berg wanted to make, so he had to make Battleship, it kind of makes Battleship's existence a little more okay now, because we got a much better movie with this. But yeah, I'm just rambling on right now. Lone Survivor, pretty good movie overall.